Hey everyone, this is Alvaro Cortez Jr., aka Lance Danger here. You caught me putting on my work clothes on, so to speak. How are you guys? Last time I tried to do a art stream, I failed miserably. I had pretty much a sinus infection that was really um, affecting me pretty badly, especially my eyesight, especially because I had misplaced my blue light glasses as well. These aren't actually like seeing glasses or anything like that. These glasses actually protect my eyes from the Blu-ray light that's emitted from screens, whether it be phones, tablets, televisions, monitors, all that good stuff. I had to get these a couple of years back when I started working remotely because I was staring at my own laptop for hours. Because when I would be done with my day job, I would have to also work on my comics. So it was a lot of screen time and it was affecting my eyes. Not necessarily my eyesight, but just giving me like dry eyes. It made my eyes very watery. I would constantly get huge headaches as well. And ever since I got these puppies, I really haven't had that much of an issue with headaches and whatnot. Let me just go ahead and put some chill background music here. Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. So, as I was saying, I hope all you people are doing all right. If my throat is a little bit, if my voice is a little bit hoarse, as I stated in the live stream I did in the afternoon, um, I still am suffering from the effects of that sinus infection and allergies. So my throat isn't at its best, but I'll try my best to power through it because I just kind of wanted to, do this live stream, kind of just chat a little bit with you guys, talk about art, talk about life. two great things to talk about if you think about it. While I work on Fred Peterson, the Mighty Warlord, let's go ahead and get that window. Last time we left, I was working on page 13 of the web comic, as you can see here. Or actually, you can't see it yet. As you can see here, there we go. So this is page 13 of my webcomic, Fred Peterson, the Mighty Warlord, chapter 27. It's almost bittersweet that I'm working on this page as two giants of the industry died within a week of each other. Of course, talking about Neil Adams and George Perez. If any of you watched my stream earlier yesterday, really in the afternoon, it was talking about George Perez and pretty much my introduction to him, and also to my co-pilot on the live stream, Chago Rodriguez. It was a very good stream, I believe. It was a good walk down memory lane, especially for me. And this page, for context and warning, spoilers, because there's no really a way around it, or at least I'll try to keep it not as spoiler-y as it can be. The context behind this page is that a major character in Fred Peterson, the Mighty Warlord, passes away during book one, towards the end. And this is, of course, Jane, one of the main characters in the story, one of the characters closest to Fred Peterson, and she's having a conversation with a character that had popped up in chapter 4, and they were just kind of casually talking about this character that passed away, and that she's about to turn away and go back to her friend Felicidad. They're in this bar called oh wow, I actually forgot the name of the bar. I'm a bad creator. Now I have to El Buque, I believe it's called. El Buque. It has to be El Buque. Yeah, El Buque. Um, Fun fact: if you're a fan of David Alvarez, big Puerto Rican cartoonist, has worked in Disney, WB, you name it. He had a character that was creator owned called Jenny. There was this one turtle called Buke. So the bar is essentially an homage to Dave Alvarez and his comic strip Jenny, named El Buque, after the turtle character that was in that comic book strip. But anyway, Jane is about to turn back to go to one of her friends. Her name is Felicidad. She's a very conservative girl in some ways, but she's kind of like finding herself, and Jane is kind of helping her in some ways just by being there for her as a friend. And she's heading back to her. It's her first experience in a bar, in a pub. So she just happens to run into that guy. Jane does, and they have their little conversation. They reminisce about the person that passed away, and just that she's turning around to go back to her friend Felicidad. He just kind of like calls her back and raises a glass, like toasting the people that aren't with us anymore, which of course she raises her glass at the end, at the panel there. It was done actually as a tribute for two big Puerto Rican creators that passed away earlier in the year. As I mentioned in other previous live streams before, Jose M. Reyes, creator of Zarames, Miguel Angel Sanjurjo, also known as Gelo, creator of Hibaro Samurai, and worked on so many independent comics in Puerto Rico, that they both left pretty rich profound legacies in the Puerto Rican comic book community. So they died actually kind of like a couple of weeks apart as well. And I had done like this page as a nod to them, kind of like myself raising my glass, my characters raising a glass to their characters, so to speak, to pay respects. And it's just crazy how, yes, things happen. Like with George Perez, it was a thing that we all knew was going to happen because, of course, the information they had divulged it that he was sick. He did have that cancer that he decided not to get treatment or get operated on because if it was terminal, like he didn't want to, go through all that process. And I have had family members that has gone through the process of fighting cancer, and they had passed away, and it's not pretty at all. It's not a very pretty sight at all, to be able to witness that. So he kind of wanted to spare himself and the people around him, and just kind of enjoy comic books in a way because he wanted to share as much as possible with the fans and whatnot. Neil Adams did come a bit as a surprise because, at least as far as I knew, he wasn't like in bad health. Like, of course, he was up there in age as well, but being one of the revolutionaries in comics, and every time I would see him in New York Comic Con, he always seemed so full of energy and life that it's kind of like, oh, like how did that happen? And this is an industry where a lot of us are standing on the shoulders of giants and pretty much doing what we're doing now because of them and the road that they paved and the inspiration that they gave to many of us, especially to me. As I stated before in that live stream, George Perez was one of the first artists that I discovered once I was kind of graduating from kid comics books into like the more adult comics like Batman and X-Men and all that good stuff. Uh, Sorry about that. I have very bad cable management down here, and I was just looking for my cat that's roaming around here, and my foot got trapped on a cable. This is live, folks. That's I put the live and live streaming. Anyway, yeah, it's just crazy that these two giants of the industry, yes, passed away pretty much 1 week between each other. Of course, George Perez, the amount of detail that he put in his artwork, the passion that he put into his artwork is um there's really almost no equal to it. The only other person that I can think of is Phil Jimenez, and he himself, his career started because he was really inspired by George Perez as well. And Neil Adams, of course, he was if Jack Kirby had revolutionized the art world in comic books with his dynamic poses and the Kirby crackle and just how dynamic the page layouts were. Neil Adams did so in his own way also later on in the 70s when he started to do like the details of the hair flowing in the background, different angles as well. Like he took what Kirby had laid out and in a way elevated it as well. So again, it's just two huge pillars of the comic book community. And it kind of almost makes you think about your own mortality, or at least it does to me anyway. And I already had like all this stuff in my mind because of those two colleagues of mine that had passed away not too long ago. It's a crazy world out there. It really is. One moment you're here, the next you're not. It's like the title on the live stream that I put. All we have is today. I actually got that from a Bruce Lee documentary. I believe it's the one that's on the Enter the Dragon special edition DVD that they have that featurette of Bruce Lee in his own words, and it features interviews and whatnot. There's this one song that's played over a montage of Bruce Lee that was written by one of the leading biographers of Bruce Lee. I believe his name is John Little. And pretty much the chorus is just that life is what we make it, all we have is today. Those are very, very true words in my opinion. You know, tomorrow is no guarantee whatsoever. So you have to make the most of everything that you can. You know, that's why it's good to like try to be like in harmony with everyone around you, with everything around you. And it's not like having false modesty or just pretending to be nice for the sake of being nice, but just because life is too short to waste it on negativity. And that's what I've been trying to do for years now, especially on social media. I've been trying to keep my social media as positive as possible, not because I'm turning a blind eye to all the crap that happens in the world, but it's because sometimes you need that palate cleanser. And if my feed and my social media and the works that I put out there in my comics and help someone get distracted, even if it's just a few minutes out of their day, you know, then my work is done and all this would have been worth it, you know, at least to me. You have to appreciate every single day, the good and the bad that comes with it. And I know I've quoted it before, more than likely, but again, like the Rocky movie is so quotable, especially for like motivational stuff. The Rocky Balboa movie, you know, it's not about um, life is going to knock you down hard, and it's about getting back up. You know, nothing's going to hit harder than life, as Rocky said. You know, you can either choose to quit or keep moving forward. I personally always choose to move forward, even if sometimes it takes me a little while to get back on my feet, but I always try my best. I'm not perfect by any means, but I do try my best. And when I say I try my best, I'm not saying that I try to be perfect, but I try to be the best possible version of myself whenever I can. And some days I succeed, some days I don't. On other days it's a draw. But hey, I'll take a draw over a loss, I guess. You know, kind of be like Jeff Hardy versus the Undertaker ladder match, shouting at the end, "I'm still standing." me just kind of step back a bit from the image, kind of have a look, see how everything is coming out. Looking very nice, if I do say so myself. And I just hit the wrong dock. Close. Close, please. Speaking of the wrong docs, oh my goodness, I just discovered this the other day. Actually, I uploaded the video of my art stream on Twitch of a sticker design that I'm planning to do based on Resident Evil. It was actually a very fun stream, and it was a very fun illustration. But guess what? I apparently actually did not save that illustration that I was doing. And I must have left it. I must have left it on the screen. And after I turned off the live stream and I got away from my laptop, I had apparently not apparently, I actually did accidentally trip over the aforementioned cable that I was talking about before, which is actually the charging cord for the MacBook. So it got disconnected, and next thing I know, a few hours later, the laptop had powered down, along shutting down, of course, everything with it. And in my mind, I was like, that's okay. I saved the illustration anyway. Wrong. Wrong. I did not save that illustration. Oh, God. Life is what you make it. All you have is today, my friends. I was looking for that illustration because I was actually thinking of maybe doing a late night Twitch stream, since I haven't really done much Twitch streaming. The last week, I believe it was, I did a brief Animal Crossing late night stream where I introduced people to my island, the Danger Zone, of course, because what else would I name my island? And I kind of wanted to continue with that illustration, but unfortunately, it no longer exists except in that live stream replay, which I'm thankful for because I actually took a picture of the screen. So I can just go ahead and digitally ink over the digital sketch I had done. So luckily, it wasn't like I lost a lot of work. It's just kind of annoying having to do that extra process. Always remember to save people. And now that like, if you're an artist and you value your time and your own work, please save as you illustrate. And I'm usually pretty good at that because I've had things like that happen when I started first illustrating digitally and doing digital colors. But I must have had just like a moment at that time where I just forgot to save as I was illustrating. I think I was just, hey there, it's my cat roaming around. I think I was just a little too excited that I was doing like my first Twitch art stream and my first Twitch stream in general, that I just kind of lost focus in that sense and didn't save the damn illustration. but I'm going to continue along with it. Um, Later in the week, I'll also continue with the Mega Man um, gameplay as well. As a matter of fact, I believe I'm uploading the clip show of the Mega Man stream probably either today or Saturday, but I think it's looking more like later today. Yeah, the fun never stops around here. But again, thankfully, it's not like I lost a whole lot of work because I was live streaming that illustration. If I had not live streamed that illustration, I would have literally had to start from scratch. But since I live streamed all the way up until I did like the bare bones kind of sketch of what I wanted to do, now I can just ink over, digitally ink over that screenshot. Like I was going to digitally ink over that um under sketch anyway. So in that sense, at the very least, I didn't lose like that much work. Again, it's just like that extra step that I have to take is annoying. But hey, I'll take a mild annoyance over having to start something over from scratch any day. Make lemonades, my friend. Make lemonades, my friends. This is a very chill vibe, this music. It's very chill and trippy at the same time. Makes me want to have a small drink as I illustrate. No, as a matter of fact, I think I am going to. It's been a very busy day, and this is my second live stream, so it's also late night, so I can just afford to wet my whistle, so to speak. It is New Comic Book Day after all, if I'm not mistaken. Like, are we at Wednesday already? We're at Thursday, actually. Hmm. Well, New Comic Book Day for me, because I'm gonna have to go either today or tomorrow to pick up this week's stash of comics. Like, things have been so hectic that for the first time in a long while, I actually had like a huge pile of comics waiting for me at my local comic book shop. It was something like 4 or 5 weeks that I couldn't go pick it up in between health stuff and also personal stuff as well. Like, I have never left a subscription to a local comic book shop, a pull list. I have never let it go that long before. But thankfully, they're very cool. They're very understanding. They know that I'm usually pretty responsible with these kinds of things, and that when I do leave a week or a couple of weeks go by without picking something up, it's usually because something happened. I just kind of want to finish cleaning up this part here a bit before I go and grab myself a drink. Clinky, 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 clink. Little drink. I can't wait for this chapter to play out already. Like, it's been a couple of months since I've actually haven't been able to update my webcomic, any of them really. Just this past weekend on Sunday, I was finally able to update one of the remastered strips of Nevermind Season 2, which means I'm getting close to the halfway point of Nevermind Season 2. Like, it would be phenomenal if I'm able to finish Season 2 within the next couple of weeks. That way, it'll be like 2 years in a row that I'd be able to publish Nevermind stuff. Between the original 12 strips that I did with the enhanced um, images, and then the season one Truthful Comics edition, which is essentially the remastered, done from scratch, done with a clearer intent with the lettering and the artwork and the story and whatnot. The same with season two as well, Truthful Comics edition. Like, over this past year, it's been like the most I have ever uh, published comics, actually, in terms of volume, or pretty much tied with Warlord. Like, that span when I released the physical copies of Warlord, I was pretty much in chapter 10, I believe, of the webcomic when I was starting to release the physical copies finally. And within the span of pretty much a year, I had released the prologue to book one, the webisodes, issue one and issue two. And I was just about to finish. I was just about to finish doing the PDF for issue number three, and I had the cover already done. And it was just about to be sent to Indie Planet back then. Sorry, to Kablam back then, so it could be sold through Indie Planet. And that's when the computer crashed and I lost a lot of the original artwork and just a big mess. But I had released like those four comics within the span of 1 year, pretty much. And now, within the span of this past year now, um, year and a half, I released the Truthful Comics edition of Nevermind Season 1, the original 12 strip collection with a higher definition, Stupid the Cat, and actually the Cannon Girl as well. But the only problem, as I mentioned before, um, Kablam is way beyond the point of being behind on updating stuff on Indie Planet. At this rate, I honestly don't know when it's going to be up anymore. I don't know if it's going to even be up, even though I was reassured that it is on the queue to be updated soon, as well as Project New Wave, issue number three. So that would have been, yeah, pretty much for self-published title, like um, when I was publishing Warlord back then. So that's pretty much ties like how many self-published comics I put out consistently in that sense, or consecutively anyway. And Whip Amani Wepito is there, also ready to be printed, but again, like, it is a bit frustrating that this wait, even though I know that a lot of it has to do with the paper shortage, understaffed and whatnot. But still, I do have a responsibility to the readers as well. So I just have to like find alternative ways of having these products reach people out there. All while trying to give service with a smile. It's not the reader's fault that all this is happening. It's very frustrating for me personally and professionally to not be able to put something out there that people are actually waiting for. Like we've been waiting like almost half a year now at this rate for issue number 3 of Project New Wave to be updated into Indie Planet. And even if we ordered now like a batch of physical comics so we can sell it ourselves somewhere, that's no guarantee that we're not going to even receive the physical copies in a timely manner either. So it's kind of being stuck between a rock and a hard place. If anyone out there knows about good comic book printing services, we're Manuel and I are open to suggestions at this rate. To be honest, like I love Kablam. I've been using Kablam since like 2011, 2010, almost pretty much since the inception of Kablam, I guess, in that sense. But it gets to a point where, you have to decide what's best for your readers, you know? Because if this were a vanity project where I was just publishing things just for my own sake, then I really wouldn't mind the wait. But there are people that legitimately want to read my things, and either because they want to support me or because they actually enjoy my content. And I don't want to feel like I'm falling short to them or failing them or whatnot. And it makes me also wonder further down the line, like, even if these things get resolved, what's going to happen next, you know? So it's been a lot of thinking, a lot of introspection these past couple of weeks of where my career is headed and where I want it to be and things of that nature. And also last week, the Comics Crusaders Network released the episode of the Think Indie Podcast Extra where I was interviewed. It was an hour-long show. It was very fun to do. I'll definitely put a link in the description or in the comments section so you guys can check out that interview. If you do check out that interview, like, please feel free to leave a comment and like and share and all that good stuff. Dodgy, the creator that was doing the interview and pretty much does the whole Think Indie podcast stuff over at the Comics Crusaders, is a very cool guy. It was just a fun experience. That was probably only like my second or third interview ever. Like, I think you can kind of hear that I'm a little bit nervous, even though I have like the on-camera experience now for a little while now of doing these live streams and being on videos again on YouTube. It's a whole different beast when you're on somebody else's channel and someone else's time and someone else's format and whatnot. Especially being on a channel that's, quite bigger than your own channel. A little band is all it was. I will until the end. Like, I kind of like having a small channel where I can do kind of like this more introspective kind of stuff. Like, I've been told that my channel could actually be a lot bigger if I do like more of the quote unquote traditional YouTube thing or live streaming thing. I don't know. I guess I'm kind of like Saitama has that mentality in One Punch Man of being a hero for fun. I kind of have the mentality of I'm a YouTuber for fun. Like even back in the day when my channel did have like a pretty good chance of becoming relatively big or something, it was always just more for the fun of it and just for using it as an extension of my creativity rather than having YouTube be like the basis of my creativity, if that makes sense. That's not to say that it's not a bad thing if that's what someone else wants. Everyone is creative in their own way and finds their happiness and creative fulfillment in their own way. And if you want to be a YouTuber, a podcaster, a live streamer, more power to you. You do you, man. Me personally, I consider myself more of an artist, creator, and just a YouTuber by happenstance or something. Like, again, it's just an extension of me wanting to expand my creativity in a way. One of the first things that I did actually go to school for was for media. So I do have a lot of knowledge on media, whether it be TV, radio, podcast, internet. Like I have pretty much that knowledge, and I guess that's why some people sometimes are kind of surprised that I can just sometimes randomly pick up a camera and a microphone and just go on screen and not be as cringe as I think I am on the screen. Because I do kind of have that background and that training for it. And I have helped other colleagues ever since school up until now to do their thing as well. So it's not like I'm not well versed into doing it. It's just that it's not something that fulfills me enough creatively, like for me to say, this is what I want to do. What I want to do is comic books. What I want to do is artwork. What I want to do is write stories. You know, that's what I want to make happen. And just by chance, if I can share that with other people through YouTube or Twitch, Facebook, the more the merrier. Welcome to the party. Kind of have a bit of a look. Let me go ahead and save file, please. Actually, I'm going to get myself something to drink. I'm going to be right back. All right, and we are back. Thank you so much for indulging me, my friends. This is the last bit of this drink, Choja Yusu. It's a very citrus drink, actually. I really, really enjoyed this one. I know this is not a sponsor, but hey, if you want to, I wouldn't mind. That's all I'm saying. Go ahead and give this a finish. Yeah, that's pretty much like the last bit of it. I have to take a picture later of this one just to like remind myself of what the bottle looks like because I actually really enjoyed that drink. I'm just taking a small breather from illustrating. It's been a while since I've been able to illustrate, and I have been doing a lot of physical stuff around the apartment, and it has like caught up with me physically. As you can see, there are some things blank around here. Just to give context, we were just kind of like holding stuff from the previous tenant, and the guy was very cool. He just asked us if it was okay if they would leave some stuff behind, and they could like come and pick it up later on in the year once they're settled in their new place. And since we don't like have an overwhelming amount of stuff, we said, sure, it's cool with us. And the people finally came, took about pretty much everything. The few things that they left, they're actually not considering taking it back at any point, or if anything, we can just mail it to them. So we have that option now as well, which is why like things are kind of like out of sorts around here, at least more than usual in this little corner that I have to work on and stuff. To all the people who aren't with us anymore, to everyone who has opened a path for us creative, salute. Kind of wanted to do a little toast there. Actually, let me just go ahead and search for that interview so you guys can see where it is. If you're not subscribed to their channel already, I do implore you to go ahead and do so now. Let me just close some things here. All right, here we are. It is the Comic Crusaders. They have some lovely podcasts here. So you can see outside the panels, the Old Timers Comic Book Show, Owl Chats, No Prize Podcast, the Yeah Nah Weba Show, the Think Indie Podcast, and also the Think Indie Podcast Extra. Let's go ahead to the playlist. They have pretty much everything, neatly covered here in their playlist. So you can definitely go ahead and binge watch any or binge listen to any of their podcasts. Think Indie Podcast, Music Create Crusaders, Comic Crusaders podcast in Spanish, the Thundercats, Indie Crusaders, Top Tens, the Yeah Nah Wepa Show, Comics Crusader specials, shorts, spoilers. There's a lot of variety and a lot of content on this channel. So if you're like, into comic books, if you're into creating, accidentally opened something there. Just go ahead and close that. So yeah, Comic Crusaders, go check it out. Let me find my video real quick. Here it is. Think Indie Extra with Alvaro Cortez Jr. That would be me. You can definitely go ahead and check it out. It's an hour and 2 minutes. Definitely not going to like play it myself, but again, you can check it out here. Think Indie Podcast Extra, part of the Comic Crusaders Network. You can definitely go ahead, check out that interview. Leave a like and a comment if you do as well, just to know that you passed by to say hello. All right, let's put this half glove on and keep working a bit more before I call it a day. Right, I want to at least do a little bit more flatting on this page. I usually am a lot faster doing this, but again, considering the physicality of the last couple of weeks, um, I have deteriorated a little bit in terms of illustrating. I also had to put my physical therapy on hold for a while too, so that kind of affected things a little bit too. But now that things are a lot more like normal, I should be able to resume my physical therapy and keep recovering as needed for my shoulders and that knee that's been bothering me. And hopefully, I'll be able to produce more comics and whatnot. Let me just go ahead and open the image I use as a guide for coloring hair and whatnot. If I can find it. Here we go. To the very top. From here, I choose Jane's hair color and whatnot. Make it invisible. Let me at least work on her hair. Here. Jane really is one of my favorite characters to illustrate. The one thing that I don't like illustrating from her that I still feel kind of weird is the short hair. For those of you who have actually read the webcomic and the comic book, she started off with very long hair, like hair down pretty much almost to her waist. And when book 2 started of Warlord in chapter 12, I decided to give her a different look. Because that's one thing that I've been trying to do with Fred Pearson, the Mighty Warlord. Like, I want to reflect changes in the characters with changes in their appearances as well as time goes by. Like Fred wasn't the only one that suffered incredible loss and went through changes towards the end of book one. Not to get too much into spoilers, as I said before, the death of a character really affected all of them and in different ways. By the end of book one, Jane was in a relationship that could pretty much be described as a very toxic relationship, a relationship that was really no good for her. And that relationship suddenly came to an end towards the end of book one. So in a lot of ways, she's one of the characters that's gone through the most changes in her life in this story. Like, I know sometimes people complain that, well, not complain, but they kind of observe that sometimes she's a little too insecure or indecisive, or maybe not as strong as character as people thought she was going to be from her introduction. Which is something that I find kind of interesting. Because, truth be told, none of these characters really are as strong as how they started off in chapter one. Because they're all really experiencing loss in their own way, and like their first real, like, major loss in their life, or in some cases it's not their first major loss, but yet another loss for some of these characters. And sometimes people just react differently to loss. People still really like Jane, though. Like, people actually, usually when they illustrate Jane, like for fan art or something, almost always it's actually her hanging out with Fred, which I always find pretty awesome. And if it's not hanging out with Fred, it's her holding her peace necklace that she has, which I still haven't divulged the origin of that necklace. That's going to be a fun chapter when I finally get to that chapter. This here, just taking my time, not trying to push my shoulder too badly, because I have to keep in mind that I'm also working on other projects as I'm doing this as well. Like I mentioned before, I started updating Nevermind Truthful Comics Edition Season 2 as well. I'm working towards Wepamani Wepito also being available in print. I'm also working on the PDS to be available through the Comic House app. Like, I haven't done much promotion for it because I've been so incredibly busy, but now I definitely want to be able to do a hard push this summer to promote all that good stuff. Because all we have is today. If I'm not gonna push these comics out there, no one else is going to do it for me. Like, my colleagues and my friends can do only so much to help put the word out there about my comics, but ultimately the responsibility lies within myself to put myself out there. whether I like that or not. Introvert be damned. Because don't be surprised. Don't be fooled by these live streams and these videos. I am super introverted. And now because of that Geico commercial, whenever I say I'm introverted, a small part of me says almost instantly in my mind, that's a very rare thing. Thank you, Geico. By the way, also not sponsored. If you're hearing Little Gecko, a drink for you too, Little Gecko. I think I'm kind of approaching the hour. Oh, actually, past the hour pretty much. I'm just going to like finish flattening her hair in, and I think I'm going to call it a night. And I'll more than likely continue in a couple of hours, but off stream, of course, because I have to also catch up with a lot of things now. But doing these just help to keep myself accountable for the work that I have to do, all the catching up that I have to do, and it's just fun to hang out with all of you here. Whether it be live or in the replay, it's always fun. It's gotten to a point where people are actually really looking forward to the Truthful Comics edition of Fred Peterson, the Mighty Warlord. Like, there's actually like a small. I think there's actually more hype behind the Truthful Comics edition of Warlord than there is for the actual current web comic. That's not to say that people aren't caring for the web comic, but people are excited to see, I guess, what I'm going to do new in the actual remaster of the comic in terms of artwork and story, especially since I am going to make things a lot clearer. Like, think of it as actually kind of being like my rebuild of Evangelion, so to speak. This is my rebuild of Fred Peterson, the Mighty Warlord. With the only exception that I'm not going to like diverge completely from the story at some point, like um 3.33 and then 3.0 plus 1.0 thrice upon a time, where they kind of like went off on a wild tangent that was not based on the anime, even though it kind of circled back kind of to how the anime originally ended, more or less. Like, my intent, like I said before, is that I want to do a better product than just blow up internet friendly images that the resolution is not going to be great if it were put out on print. I want to put something out there. Like, I know I'm not the greatest artist in the world, but that doesn't excuse me from putting the worst possible thing that I could put out there. And this isn't like a slam against other colleagues that has actually taken the internet friendly low resolution images and used it as the images to do their own printed version of the comic. Again, if they're able to do it and they think that that's the best possible way their creativity can be displayed, for one reason or another, then again, more power to you. You do what you think is most convenient and expresses your creativity the best. I choose that what exhibits my creativity the best is to kind of do the best that I can in that sense and put the best possible product out there. And I don't mean to be snobbish or mean or anything. I'm just very, very sure of myself in some ways. And again, it's a confidence that I had to earn through years of not being confident in myself. That's a topic for a whole other stream, though. You just kind of take a look at this. It's just like the more I see, the more I want to keep working on it. Which is a good sign, I guess, that despite the tiredness and all the whirlwind stuff that's been happening the past month, the past year, really, that I still have that energy of wanting to keep creating, is definitely always a good sign, at least in my opinion, anyway. Hmm. You know what? I think I'm going to, at the very least, put her flesh tones in as well. Because it bugs me to not have a little bit more done. Especially because this chapter has been so fun and so kind of different from what I have been doing like in the past couple of years, which has been like super intense. Should let me make her hair just like, no, that's fine. Let me just go ahead and kind of pick her flesh tone. Jane has always been a darker skinned character. She has kind of like that mulata taina skin to her. Make that brush a little bit bigger. Jane really is a fun character. She's probably my favorite character, if I'm being honest, in Warlord. Like, she's my palate cleanser, to be honest. Even when she's indecisive or sad or happy or dead set on something, she's the type of character that kind of wears her emotions on her sleeve. And she's just a fun character to write and illustrate. Just go back and kind of cut off wherever that pixel. I'll clean up a little bit afterwards. There we go. Just clean up here at the top of the gutters. Here we go. All right. Wrong color palette. There we go. Yes, trying to again put the flats on the skin tones. They are inside a pub. I haven't been to a pub in a while. Like probably since last year or close to last year. I was actually hanging out with other indie creators and one of the owners of my local comic book shop. They were going to hang out after closing the shop and they just asked me if I wanted to come along. Fun times. Fun times were had by all. Now to me, it feels like it's starting to take a lot more shape now that I'm putting in the flats for the skin and whatnot. Let me see if this closed off correctly. Yeah, there we go. Very nice. So yeah, if you're a creative watching this, whether it be for comic books, animation, YouTuber, vlogger, blogger, put yourself out there. Don't be afraid to put your content out there. Like, what's the worst that can happen? That no one's really going to watch your stuff? Well, nobody's going to watch it less than they are right now because it's not out there, if you know what I mean. So just go ahead and take that chance. I got burned out by YouTube because at one point it started to become a little bit more about trying to put content out there than rather than just having fun with it. Which is how I began doing YouTube videos in the first place. Just having fun. Even if I did like show my big influences of James Rolfe, the angry video game nerd, and of course Doug Walker, the nostalgia critic. You have to kind of start somewhere. Like now I don't really consider that my videos are as similar to their videos anymore. Even when I do the Danger Zone videos, they're kind of throwbacks to that point in time when I started doing videos, but they're not exactly the same kind of videos I used to make, if that makes sense. You know, last year by this time, I didn't even have 70 subscribers on YouTube, and I was just barely getting to 25,000 lifetime views on my channel. Right now, I'm at 218 subscribers, and I'm like less than 200 views or something like that to actually have 80,000 lifetime views on my YouTube channel. Like it's grown quite a lot, especially compared to how stagnant it was when I did get burnt out from doing YouTube videos, and I would like stop every other year and not update as frequently as possible. And it's again like once YouTube started being fun again, it just started becoming natural to make videos and put them up again. Without burdening my mind about monetization. Like before, I did have monetization before the adpocalypse. It's not like I made a lot of money to begin with YouTube. It's not like I expect to make money with YouTube eventually, because again, this is a borderline hobby for me, YouTube, to be honest. I'm just having fun, whether it's doing these more introspective live streams while I'm working on my comics, or just shooting the shit with other colleagues, doing the live streams that we've been doing lately on Wednesdays, or even like the let's play videos that I'm going to start uploading soon here, the clip versions. It's just all having fun. Again, life is too short to take too seriously. Life is too short to take yourself too seriously sometimes. Like, it's okay to just cut loose and have fun, especially when there's so much negativity twirling around you. All right, so I'm just going to go ahead and do the final save here and call it a night, because I am a bit tired. As I said before, this is my second live stream. I had live streamed around 5 o'clock p.m. up until like 6:30 p.m. And then I went to a Broadway show with my girlfriend, got back, had like a late kind of dinner thing, watched some Netflix, and here I am live streaming again. But it's just almost cathartic to be able to kind of talk like this while I'm actually doing the work and trying to also like get my feet on the ground again, get that ground beneath my feet so I can be able to steady the course and get more consistent doing my artwork and my projects and whatnot. So that's going to be it for now. Hopefully, by the next time I do an art stream, it'll be a different page other than this one, which you guys have probably seen a couple of times by now, by the time that I started sketching it out and doing the line art and now doing the flats for the coloring. Hopefully, the next time you guys see this page is when it's actually completed and already uploaded at the Duck Web Comics and truthfulcomics.com as well. And you'll be seeing a different page either from Warlord or Nevermind, or who knows, maybe even Hell Beneath You. I really haven't talked about Hell Beneath You in a while since the video series of the 100 Days of Making Comics series ended. So stay tuned for that one. Like, I will be showing stuff eventually. I am thinking about whether or not I do another 100 days of making comics videos again for this year. I'm kind of leaning towards doing it anyway. Just, again, it's a good exercise in accountability in a way to like hold myself accountable to keep producing and keep creating, and yes, to develop that consistency again, that discipline again. Not that I don't have it anymore, but again, sometimes life gets in the way and it makes you stumble back a few steps, and you kind of have to do these kind of things and kind of go back to your roots and find that inner creativity, that inner fire that made you want to create in the first place, and kind of like have like those baby steps again, more or less, and until you can like full-fledged work on your stuff again. At least in my case anyway, that's how it's been in my personal experience. Anyway, I'm not going to keep dragging this out too long. Um, Thank you all so much for watching. If you are watching live, if you watch the replay, thank you so much for uh, giving my videos a shot. Um, the videos have been doing quite well lately over the past couple of months. And, once again, thank you. And always remember, uh, life is what we make it. All we have is today. So try to be the best version of yourselves. The thing that I wish for all of you, of course, is health, happiness, and may you find your creative voice in the universe. So, as I sign off in my podcast, until next time, stay creative, my friends.